In 700 BC, the sun began to pass through the descending Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, reaching the point in its orbit which is furthest from the grand center. The intellectual power of man was much diminished. There had been a total cultural collapse. Trade routes were interrupted, and literacy was severely reduced. Almost every significant city in the Eastern Mediterranean world was destroyed. Before Socrates, in about 600 BC, Thales, a mathematician and astronomer, would be regarded as the first philosopher in the Greek tradition. He broke from contemporaries and turned away from the traditional beliefs which attributed all man's fortunes and misfortunes to the great family of Olympian gods. He attempted to explain natural phenomena without reference to mythology. Almost all other philosophers follow him, and most pay dearly, even with their lives. In 400 BC, Greek scholars were appalled with the idea of looking inside oneself or looking beyond the gods for truth. Sentenced to death, Socrates said, "Death is the cure that frees the soul from the body." By 350 BC, Socrates' cornerstone of know thyself gave way to the philosophy of Plato and Aristotle. Logic and intellectual reasoning would be predominant material philosophy for the next 2 millennia. Plato said, "There will be no end to the troubles of states or of humanity itself, till philosophers become kings in this world." In 347 BC, Aristotle finds a young student. Perhaps he would be the philosopher king. Alas, he would later be known as Alexander the Great. He would sweep through mainland Greece, eastward through Persia, and ultimately conquered the entire known world. Revered as a god, he would but die a conqueror at the age of 32. In the beginning of the first millennia, 3 sages hail from India and worship a child. They named him Isa, or Lord in Sanskrit, a name that became Jesus in the Bible. Later, Jesus travels to India sometime during his lost years from age 13 to 30, where he meditates with the great sages. Jesus returns to Jerusalem and reveals the sacred knowledge, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven with his close disciples. As for the rest who gathered to hear him speak, Jesus spoke in parables, because hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. The period around 500 AD was thus the darkest part of Kali Yuga, and of the whole cycle of 24,000 years. Perhaps nothing exemplifies this more than the ironic reign of Marcus Aurelius. He ascends to the throne in 161 AD, and was praised for his great passion for justice. Serving without salary, he was a stoic, practiced temperance and stern morality. He was considerate to the poor. But Marcus Aurelius was an energetic persecutor of the Christians. Albeit for what he deemed necessary, that behavior, plus the appointment of his son Commodus, whose behavior a disgrace, would lead to the fall of Rome. During the downward part of the cycle, people in general become increasingly ignorant of the spiritual side of their nature, until all that is noble disappears. Then the fall of that civilization is not far behind.